What do you do when you find yourself afraid? If you're anything like me, hearing that question may cause you to say something like this: well, I'm never afraid. I get sometimes nervous sometimes, and maybe I experience a little anxiety, but I'm never really afraid. And I say that sometimes too. You can define fear any number of ways, but I think all of us know what it is to have that feeling in our stomach, and we call it anxiety or we call it concern or whatever it is. But really, that anxiety and that concern can overwhelm us and become fear. And fear, if we're not careful, can prevent us from doing things that are really important. The other day, I had the opportunity to speak to a group of folks, and I speak all the time, and I'm always a little bit nervous before I speak. People have asked me, do you get nervous before you speak? I get nervous all the time before I speak, and I think that's just normal. It's human. But there was something about this particular opportunity to speak that really moved that nervousness into some anxiety, and then apparently to the point of fear. I wouldn't have said I was fearful, but that morning when I got up and did my Bible reading, I found myself at the passage where the Apostle Paul is talking to Timothy, the preacher, and he says very directly, he says, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Oh, it's a great verse, and I read that, and I thought, you know what? That's right. God has not given us a spirit of fear. And then I'm going through a devotional that I'm doing with some other guys in our church, connected on the YouVersion app, which is a great way to do these devotionals, and we're connected there. And it was on fear and dealing with fear. And I thought, man, this must be exactly what I need to hear today. I went from there to the venue where I was going to have the opportunity to speak. And as I sat there, I had this kind of thought about what I had read and why do I feel this way? And maybe I'm a little bit fearful. And then I next had the thought, you know what? The opportunity that is in front of me is one that God has given to me. No one else has given that to me. God has given that to me. Now, other people are involved in that and help to orchestrate things, but God is the one who gives these opportunities. And with that in mind, the nervousness was still there, but the fear was gone, because I wasn't going to allow something superficial, these unfounded fears, beliefs about what might possibly happen, keep me from doing what I believe God wanted me to do. Since God was the one who provided the opportunity, then I had to trust that God was the one who is going to allow me to see that through. I'm reminded of this lesson all the time. I'll be afraid again, no doubt. But when we have these moments of fear, there's nothing wrong with anxiety, and there's nothing wrong with these nervous feelings as long as that's all they are. But when we allow them to begin to creep into our mind and bring up fear that then prevents us from doing what we know we're supposed to do or called to do, what we should be doing, that's a problem. That's why the Bible talks about faith, and it talks about how without faith it is impossible to please God. Why? Because we can't please God if we're fearful. We can't please God if we're limiting ourselves and Him because we're unwilling to pursue what He's set in front of us. Faith is required, and faith is that step beyond fear, where even though there is anxiety and nervousness and that tension that often comes in our lives, we're going to move beyond that and trust that God is bigger. What do you do when you find yourself afraid? We will all find ourselves in those positions, those times when we're afraid. And often we can't even put our finger on why we're afraid. We don't exactly understand the why, but it happens. I want to encourage you with this. Don't let fear keep you from doing what you know you're supposed to do. Don't let a feeling, an emotion, a thought, a possibility, what might go wrong, keep you from doing what's in front of you, that thing that God has set in front of you. The opportunities, the abilities, God gave those to you. Trust Him and move forward.